Well, I was having trouble finding a connector for the old Mopar cast iron manifolds. Um, and they were big and heavy. Those things are about 40 pounds. So I got these little shorty headers. Yeah, they look all right. You know, it'll save me quite a bit of weight. And they probably flow a little better. But I got all the connectors and everything. This side turns out pretty good. But I went to put them on. The holes are for like a 7/16 bolt, and what's in there is 3/8. So they're none of the bolts they sent me will fit. You know, they sent a bunch of them this size. The header bolts are, you know, like this size. So that's what fits the motor. And that's what I got. So there's a little slop in this thing. I can put 2 spacers in it, which will center it. But when I was trying to put them on here, this steering setup that I got is not going to work like that. It's clearing right now with a flat part. My U-joints aren't really in there right. Where I mounted this heim joint, I had to screw it out all the way to get it as high as I could. It looked like probably being lower would actually give me a little more room. I think my shafts are going to be alright. I might have to make this bottom one a little longer. And I do have some adjustment in the steering. So this shaft needs to come towards the outside of the frame a little more. And I tried switching the headers back and forth. See which one I had. They seem to be symmetric. It's the same. So I'm probably going to have to dent that header right there to get the steering shaft clear. Yeah, it's going to hit it right now. I got it loose too, but I think I left myself a little room in there to move this around. I've got it bolted in real tight now, but I need to move it out a bit. Or put another heim joint up here. Don't know what I'm going to do about that. So my headers are in. Got to get rid of my hood there. So not exactly what I wanted. It's too bad. I just assumed those shorty headers would be a lot smaller. Well, they're a lot less heavy. but they're coming out quite a bit away from the block. Nothing really bothers anything except for this, where that steering joint's going. I'm sure that bracket there, I really don't want to redo that bracket. I'm sure the bracket's going to work out. I think I did this once before. I had the same problem on something else, and I just had it mocked up loose like that. Marked my header and pounded it in. The time I got it all up, I wound up pounding like 3 inches of the pipe in flat. So I learned from that. I'll try to get all this sorted out and dent that pipe. First thing I want to get is all this steering sorted out best I can. Anyway, these headers are going to look a lot better than the old cast iron manifolds, and the important part is I'll be able to weld pipe on it, get me some exhaust. Trying to find the pieces of exhaust that fit them old manifolds cost almost as much as these headers. And I couldn't even find them. Anyway, headers are on. Need a little more working on the steering now. And of course I have to make some little spacers there to make sure these small bolts, the headers are centered on the small bolts. I just built, just turned me a little bushing that's the size of the bolt, or the outside would be the size of the header, and drill it to the size of this bolt, and it has to be a little thinner than that 3/8 plate there, just so it doesn't keep it from clamping down. Get to use some more of my dress-up kit. Anyway, headers are on. A little disappointing that I have to work on it some more, but that's not too big of a job, getting that fitting right. Well, that took some work. Basically, I had to cut that bracket off of there for the heim joint and move it, and I dented the pipe a little, but I've got the steering wheel now is set as far as it'll go, and I'm clearing not much, 1/16 of an inch, and I don't even have gaskets on this yet. But anyway, the steering is as far to the left as it'll go. I didn't put much of a dent in there. I can still put a big old dent in it to clear that, but I'm not going to really mess with that until I get all my motor mounts finalized and bolted in good. I don't know which way this engine torques. Turns clockwise facing it, counterclockwise facing it. So I think it's probably going to torque into this steering shaft. Didn't make any difference. I can I can fix that. Anyway, the headers are in, and I didn't spend near as much time on this as I would have tried to getting a piece to fit down on the bottom. So I still got to finish cutting off this piece of the old water mount the other guys put in. Got a little more work here. I got to clean up those heads. Still got gasket on them, and I got some header gaskets that came with the kit. I don't know how good they are, and I got a set of good thick regular old manifold gaskets, asbestos. So I'll use whichever one looks like it's going to work the best. And at least I'm good enough now to where I can start get some pipe and start mocking up exhaust. It's going to be a while. I'm just going to leave it be until I get the thing all started and ready to go. Mufflers will be one of the last things I put on, but it looks pretty good. And the important part, took a lot of weight off the front end of this. Anyway, my buddy told me that he's going to bring me some plywood for the floor, and he showed up with this thing. So that's how my... What year is this?
35.
35 International. Look at that, huh? His heavy hauling truck. Got me a sheet of plywood for a floor. Yeah. That's how you get plywood in style. Yes, sir. There goes my delivery man. He's got this place next door. He's a real nice guy. Got a bunch of old trucks and stuff. Whole bunch of steel and junk. I think I'm going to put a motor in an old pickup for him. I don't know what it is. Like a 1919 GMC or something. Well, I got back here and started working on this. I got another plate cut out there. Made me a template out of cardboard, was alright, but I laid it on the steel. It was kind of right at the maximum edge. I tried to cut it out there. I wound up making it a little bit too small. Oh, here it is. So I cut it as close to the edge as I could there, and it was too small. So I had to really put a lot of weld on it at the bottom, and there's a whole coat hanger in the bottom there. Anyway, that one's patched up. I'll flip this seat over here and cut me another template for this one. This time I'll take a little more care and try to cut it bigger so I don't have to have such a pile of weld in there. Well, there's the passenger side welded up. I cut another little plate. I did a better job this time on the plate, but I still had a lot of gap in it. And anyway, I got a lot of weld on there. Surprisingly, my gas is holding up good. I still need to finish welding this one, but that's pretty much all welded up from yesterday and the plate I just put in. I think I'll put a triangular plate in there right now, or not right this minute, but that'll blocks that little hole there. I'll do the same over here, and that'll give it quite a bit more strength. Shouldn't be that hard to put another plate on there, but all in all, that's starting to look pretty good. Sure looks like a lot of weld on it. There is a lot of weld on it, mostly because the gaps were so bad. I did a little better job on this one. I thought this was the worst one, but it's just because I hadn't tried to weld this one yet. Anyway, it's starting to look industrial with all that heavy welding on it. I'm not going to bother trying to knock it all down. I'm just going to knock off some of the high spots and leave it. Maybe that's what I'll do with all this weld. Just leave it. Yeah, somebody will probably come along and say, God, what a mess of welding that is. Yeah. Well, it is. Anyway, I think I'll do better on these front straight pieces. And my buddy brought me that piece of plywood out there. It's 1/2 inch, same thickness as this. I'm kind of done and tired. I need to cut a couple patches to weld that side, but I can pull all this junk out of here and get me some rough measurements. And you know, I was thinking about getting a 48-inch piece. I could get half of it in my truck, but now I got to 50. I think I'll take this length right here to the middle of this. I don't know if I can get it in here. Whether I can twist it enough to go in the door and go back that far. Sure can't put it through the window. Maybe I'll just measure that. I could cut a piece that's right here to this first brace. You know, that's 2 inches wide. Should have no trouble putting a two sets of screws across there. One for the front piece, one for the back piece. Maybe that's what I'll do. That brace there is round. It's not really going to be straight across, and this one will be. So that's what I'll do. I'll cut the first piece to fit in here on the front, and then I can hog that out for my transmission tunnel. Get it set here where I want the doors. They're going to run right on the inside of that 2x2 there, 1x2. I'll get that front piece done, and then I'm not sure where the next piece will go. Probably about where that joint is there in that weld. That's where it looks like the curve starts going up. Anyway, plywood is plywood. He says he got lots more of it if I need it, so I'm not worried about ruining a little piece of wood. Well, since I was there, I figured I'd finish this one up. I just put a plate over that cut. I just welded that one up over there, a piece at a time. So now both of these rear plates are in. Front to back. So I've got about, well, considering the curves, more than half done. Looks like I've used about a quarter of a tank of gas to do this, but a lot of bzz, bzz, bzz. I turned my wire feed down a little on this thing and left the same voltage, and I could tell I need to knock about a half a volt off of that. It's getting the wire feed's going slower, but I got quite a bit of voltage in it, so it's burning it just as hot as it was. So learn a little something on that. Coming along pretty good. Two more big plates. I probably ought to do these two front ones, since I got all my stuff set up to plasma cut and weld. I'll box this in before I get into that taking everything out of the floorboard and doing that one. I still got to cut that brace off of there. I did cut this one off. It's pretty ragged, but it's off. I ordered some tires, so yeah, it'll be here in a couple days. So it's coming along pretty good, actually. You know, I cut that floorboard and put that in there. I can mount the seats. I don't know how far this thing is going to go back. Maybe I won't be able to mount the seat. You got more. Oh yeah, no, just it'll be right here at this cross brace. It's right where the seat starts. I'll have to put I'll have to put two pieces of floorboard in before I can make the seat mounts. Don't really want to do that with a lot of stuff undone under here. but I gotta pull all this crap out of here to make the seat and to weld up this side piece. No use making seat mounts and stuff whenever I'm just gonna have to pull it back out again and weld something. Hopefully I won't have to. Hopefully I can mount the back half of the floor and I won't have to take it loose in order to get out the transmission. That's another job that I'm kind of dreading. I don't want to lose my little Allen wrench for heim joints. Still moving along. A lot of work, going slow. Like and subscribe, guys. Well, here's this one. After I cleaned it up a little, I still got to get on the bottom and grind some of that old horribly looking weld off there. And I learned a lot. Here's the last one I did. This one took me a quarter of the time, and the trick was that this one had such a ragged edge on it that I had to wind up trying to fill it, and it'd have burned through, and man, I took a long time on this one. I welded that one in probably in 20 minutes. This one took me a couple hours probably. But I found the secret, if there is one. One thing, I was cutting my metal. I just running a plasma cutter along the inside of that bent edge. It was giving me a really rough edge. So this time I clamped a piece of steel on it, so I got a straight cut, a much straighter cut, and the other one got cut undersized a little, and this one was pretty good, and so I was able to weld it. The bottom's still a little funky, but I couldn't get all the rust out of there, right there on that bottom edge. Anyway, that's done. Back's all done up to here. Got two more pieces, one on each side here. I'm kind of tired. My gas is almost gone. I used a tremendous amount, wasted a lot, and a lot of rod too. How much rod I got left? Yeah, I can't really tell, but I'm sure there's not very much on it left. So I really need to get some more rod and or wire. This was an expensive roll. I think I paid $50 or $55 for it. Welder supply is much cheaper. So I got a $70 bottle of air and probably $35 worth of. I got another $100 I got to put in it for welding, but that should be enough to hopefully finish the whole car. Now that I know how to do it, I won't take that much welding these two pieces in. The roof's going to take some welding. I got a little bit of welding for hinges here. Pretty much all the little panels and everything are welded. So another bottle of air and a spool of welding wire, and that should be the end of my welding expenses, hopefully. Well, I thought I'd try to get one more piece in. I cut this out. I don't know if you can tell there, but that's super rusty. Plasma cutter still kind of acting weird, but I have a little round edge on both of these, so I just took them to an anvil and a hammer over there, pounded them pretty much flat. Now I'll put them on the edge of this cement right here where that's hanging over, and I'll just use this flapper disc, and I'm going to clean up this edge real good, and I'll do that all the way around, and I'll pound it flat again. We'll see what it looks like. Now that's knocked down pretty much. This is the good side. I was using an old flapper disc. I just changed to a new one. Knocked it off pretty good. This bad side, I'll just put some rust converter on it. That's going on to go in the inside of the frame. You can see there the amount of rust that come off of here. I keep blowing it out of the shop, trying to keep it out, but yeah, I'm gonna have a rusty yard when it rains. Well, we'll see. It's just iron, it'll eventually go away. So I've got that pretty much cleaned up, flat. I'll go try to put it in the car and see what it looks like. Oh, there's a passenger side done. See, it's pretty nice weld there on top, and the bottom, and it's a little messy, but a lot better than what I was doing at first. I took a long time on that thing trying to get it straight and ground off. Again, the same problem with the bottom. Had dirt in it, and I couldn't get it quite right, so I had to try to lay a bead on the frame and then build up on top of that bead. Anyway, the whole side's done now, all the way to the, I've got one little front piece, and look at my gas. I didn't use much gas at all in these last two pieces, so I probably got enough to finish this side and maybe both of the front two pieces. It's not taking a lot when I'm not just, you know, welding it 1,000 times. I threw a little rust converter on this since I had some out. It looks quite a bit better. Sure tell the difference where rust converter is and isn't. And at least I can, shows dents pretty good, got a little shine to it, you know. Well, closer and closer. One more frame piece. If I try to box it around these cross members, that might take a little while. I might do this middle one, and I might do this back one too. Probably the back one's more important, you know, because that's where all the power is going to go through. Middle one, I don't think that's too important. The only thing there is a transmission cross member. Maybe they should be. I don't know. Kind of tired. I think I'll call it quits for today. So this should be enough for a pretty good video. So hope you liked this thing and hope you learned something. If you do, please like and subscribe. Like helps the YouTube channel.